recently got engaged or planning a wedding, you might be getting very overwhelmed by the prices of all the vendors like I was. The average cost of a wedding in the United States in 2023 was $35,000. And depending on where you live, it can be even higher. For example, in New England, which is where I got married, it's over $43,000. I wanted to make this video because we did end up paying around what the national average is. So I wanted to show you guys a cost breakdown of all our different vendors, how it breaks down as an average wedding. As many of you know, I got married last month, almost exactly a month ago to this day. So I figured it was time to do a full wedding budget breakdown. I had previously filmed a few videos going over budget updates as I was getting closer to the wedding, but now that it has finally passed, I can go through and give you guys the exact numbers of what everything cost, including all the tip money that we gave, any last minute decor, and also include our honeymoon costs. That way I can show the total overall costs associated with having a wedding in 2024. I just want to preface this by saying that these are obviously all prices within the area that I got married. Like I said before, it is all depending on where you're located and what your budget is looking like. My prices are reflective of having a wedding in New Hampshire, so it is a bit more expensive in New England in general, so that is why my costs may seem a little bit more expensive than some other people's. But it doesn't matter what you spent on your wedding, because that is the least important part of all of this. I just am doing this to show kind of what the average prices look like for knowledge and transparency. But in the end, it doesn't matter what your wedding cost, and it doesn't make you better or worse to have spent more or less on your wedding, as long as you're happy. At the end of the day, you're getting married to the person that you love and you had a great day. That's all that really matters. Anyway, so let's get into it. Starting off with the venue. Our venue cost was $5,900, and that included the venue space for I think 5 hours, and then I could get ready in like one of the rooms about 2 hours before, but we didn't end up using that because we stayed attached to the venue, so I just got ready upstairs. But that included the venue, also a day of planner, and a whole group of people that were helping set up and tear down before and after the wedding. So that was awesome. And then use of their bar, cocktail hour, the patio space, these big curtains that they had hanging, like a bunch of different things. I mean, obviously for the space itself, it is kind of a lot of money for not much else included. But again, it's hard to find sort of everything that you're looking for with a certain budget, I will say. Also, one of the worst things about planning a wedding is when you go and search online for things, a lot of places don't have things just listed. Like, they make you reach out to them to get quotes and prices, and that is so frustrating, because why I'm wasting my time then if it's way out of my budget. I wish places would just post even like a range on their websites instead of me having to reach out and ask for prices when then they give me a quote back and I'm like, well, that's way out of my budget. You know what I mean? I feel like that happens with a lot of vendors. It happened for me with a lot of vendors. Like, I wish there was just some kind of pricing guide on a lot of these places websites, because that would make it so much easier. Okay, next, like one of the main vendors that a lot of people, like even most people who have just like any kind of wedding, even like a courthouse wedding, like a lot of people have a photographer. No matter what, they hire a photographer. So our total cost for a photographer was $2,798, and that did also include an engagement shoot. So I think that was maybe an hour engagement shoot, maybe a little more. She went above and beyond anyway. Like, she got there super early, scouted, looked for places to take cute photos. She definitely spent more time than just an hour with us, and like overall, plus she had to travel to where we were getting our photos done. So I think that was totally worth it. And then 6 hours of footage on the wedding day, and again, she got there a little bit early. She had a helper with her that I think was doing it for free, because I didn't even have to pay for anything extra, and she did such a good job. Like, I would recommend her to anybody. I will list my vendors down below as well, because if you are in the like New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts area, you might be interested in using some of these vendors. I think with photography, you also have to realize that they're doing a lot of work outside of just taking the photos. They have to go home, edit all the photos, you know, do some Photoshop if that's what is needed. So it is more work than just taking the photos and sending them to you. So I think that you just have to remember that specifically with photography, it is more than just taking the photos. But again, she did such a good job, and I think that that price even is pretty good for the industry. I think a lot of people now are charging close to like $4 grand. So I was very happy with that price. Like on the same idea as that, we were supposed to have a videographer and she ended up canceling. So that was a little frustrating because it did seem like a little too good to be true. She posted in one of the Facebook groups that I was on, and I do highly suggest joining some local Facebook groups for the areas that you are looking to get married, because there's a lot of good recommendations in there. But she did post in there saying she's a photographer looking to get into videography, and she's from pretty much the hometown that like my mom and all my cousins and stuff live in. So I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. Like, she seems like a good fit. I liked her style, and she was a very good price for what she was offering because she was newer and looking to get into videography. But I could tell something was getting fishy because as it was getting closer, I hadn't heard anything from her, and then I reached out through email and said like, hey, just want to let you, like, just checking in. I have the timeline from my photographer. I just wanted to send it to you to make sure like things line up for what you're looking for. And she never responded. And then I reached out on Instagram, DM'd her. She did respond, but she said like, I must have missed your email. It still looks like I'm good to, you know, everything's on track for me to be there on your wedding day or whatever. And I was like, okay, great. Still was expecting an email from her and never got one. But then I think maybe 3 weeks before the wedding day, she did send an email saying that there was a family emergency and she had to cancel, which was frustrating because it didn't feel super authentic. She could have had a family emergency, totally possible, but then she was still posting stuff on like social media from other weddings and stuff. So I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, and everything works out for a reason. I wasn't that upset about it, to be honest, because we weren't even sure we wanted a videographer to begin with. And I'm not that upset that I'm really not that upset that we didn't get one, because I can't imagine myself like rewatching like cringy videos of myself. Like, let's be honest. We actually did get the money back because I had paid, I think, like $1,200 already, like as a deposit. So I did get that money back. So that was actually, it honestly ended up being better than I was expecting, because that saved us money in the long run because we got money back. I didn't have to like tip her. I didn't have to pay the net. I had one more payment of like $400. So it really did end up saving us money. So I'm not that upset about it, but that did happen. So this budget doesn't even include videographer, so keep that in mind. Next vendor was hair and makeup, and I think a lot of people, in my short form videos, a lot of people made comments on this, but if I explain it, I think it might make a little more sense. But okay, so I paid $2,610 for hair and makeup, and let me just say that also included me, my 3 bridesmaids, hair and makeup for all of us, and then makeup for my mom and my mother-in-law. 10 services plus travel, plus that also included the cost of my hair and makeup trial. So actually 12 services. So again, I don't know, that probably still is a lot, but I really liked the girl. She was very nice. We are now friends on TikTok. And when you break it down, I just did the math. When you break it down, it's about $200 per service, which is kind of a lot, but again, that is including like her travel fee, and that was for two artists also coming. So there's a lot of costs associated with that. Like, could I found someone a little cheaper? Sure, but at the same time, I liked her work, I liked her as a person, and I was happy to give her my money. So the next cost is flowers, and this is the one area I do kind of wish I spent a little bit less. Again, from some of my comments in other videos, a lot of people had the same sort of like final numbers as me. It's just like the money gets allocated a little bit differently. So the fact that I saved money in like catering or venue or whatever, I used it in flowers. I don't know. Flowers were important to me. And also, again, this was someone, I used a company of someone that was an old coworker, and she's a sweetheart. I love her. And when I was looking at other prices for things anyway, like I had other quotes for the things that I wanted, because I had an arch with like 2 big floral pieces. That alone was gonna be like $1,000. For the things that I wanted, it didn't matter. I was gonna be paying around this price anyway. So I'd rather give her the money because I know her. She's a good friend, she's a good person, and she did a great job. With that being said, my flowers were $6,130, which is a lot for flowers that just get like thrown away. It came out beautiful. I was very happy with everything. So if flowers aren't that important to you, that's totally fine too. But if you do, just so that people know, if you do want like the big floral arch, all of that, it is gonna add up. Florals are expensive. Next is the largest category, and which I think is pretty common across the board, is catering and bar. And again, from what I understand, we did get a pretty good price overall for everything that we got. So I was pretty happy with that. So for catering, which we did plated meal, 3 options, salad, champagne toast. We had servers, a whole team of servers, all the linens, flatware, literally all of that, plus the bartender for 6 hours and full open bar. All of that was $11,375. I don't know, I think that was pretty good. Again, considering all the other quotes that I had gotten. And even through the same company, if we had done buffet, it was like very, very similar in price. It was very important to my mom that we had a plated meal. So that's what we went with. And for everything that we got, the price really is not that bad. All right, next category is any decorations that I bought. And then I got my bridesmaids like a bunch of stuff for the day of, just because I wanted to get them something special. Decorations, I didn't buy like too much, but I did make, like I made a lot of the welcome signs myself. I needed easels for those. I did this rattan picture thing. I can throw a picture of that up here. It came out really well. I liked it a lot. And then the baby's breath that I attached to that, I bought myself. Couple numbers I did myself, because I do have a Cricut as well. So that's how I did all of that kind of stuff. Some of the bar signs I did. Just all of that stuff. Like, it really does add up, and I am trying to sell some of it actually to make at least some of my money back. All of that, and then these, like, I made these little bags for the bridesmaids. That came to $1,327. Yeah. And then our DJ, pretty self-explanatory, 6 hours, was $1,340, and that included uplighting. And then our officiant, which was a family friend, and we paid her $200. Stationery, so all of our invites, thank you cards, save the dates, all the envelopes, all the stamps, everything like that came out to $378. You don't need the whole shebang when you're sending out this kind of stuff, okay? Let me just de-influence you into sending out like the cute stamps or the little, like, I think it's called like a suite. I don't even know. Those little clear things. Like, you don't need all of that nonsense when you're sending out your save the dates and invites, because it's just gonna get thrown away. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's just gonna get thrown away. You're wasting your money. Then you might, if depending on the weight, you might have to use 2 stamps. Again, wasting your money. It only really matters to you because everyone else is just throwing it away. Except for maybe like your parents. De-influencing you on that. Next expense was our rings. Our bands. So of course mine was expensive. His was only like $250. And then I did end up getting my actual engagement ring band changed as well, so this is included in that price too, because it was driving me nuts. I had the little like diamonds all around it, and it was like scratching my hand. I couldn't do it. and I'm actually so much happier with the way that it came out. Rings total was $2,389. Again, you have to think about all of these things when you're planning a wedding and when you're coming up with your budget. It's just like, I feel like some people don't realize all the nitty gritty that goes into it. Like, in this budget, I'm including literally everything so that it helps other people. Like, yeah, your actual budget for like vendors might be, you know, 10-20,000, but like everything else that goes into it is what adds up. Next expense is our hotel room for 3 nights, because we got there Thursday, because then Friday morning we had like a run through of everything at the venue, and then Saturday was the wedding. So we did stay 3 nights. It's an Airbnb that's like attached to the venue, which is super nice and very convenient, especially because a lot of his family and friends were traveling from out of state. So we had, I think, 16 rooms that people could use. It is an Airbnb, not so much a hotel, but it kind of worked out even better. It's super convenient. It was pretty cheap too. So for 3 nights, we only paid $373, which is like honestly really good and like way better than all the hotel rates around us. Our dessert, we did a cake for us, and it was so cute. It was this vintage hard cake, and it was delicious. And then we did, I think, 6 or 7 dozen cupcakes, like full-size cupcakes, and then a delivery fee and like setup fee and stuff, and that was $775. Again, a little bit higher than I was expecting, but I think a lot of that even was the delivery fee. But yeah, I've heard really, really good things about the cupcakes. Like, a lot of people really liked them, so I think it was worth it. And then our dress and his tux cost $2,260. Again, obviously my dress was way more than his tux, but that's totally fine. But that's to be expected because he just rented his tux from Men's Warehouse. Nothing crazy. Then lastly is tip money. It's tough. Like, tipping for weddings is tough because yes, they are providing a service, but at the same time, everything's already so expensive, and like a lot of them I think are building in to their prices, like getting paid for their work. We didn't go overboard with tips, but I do think, you know, even what we gave was generous, you know? So we budgeted $1,300 for tips for just the main vendors, except my mom did pay for the hair and makeup tip, which was very helpful. Another price that you kind of forget about is license and certificates. So that came to $88. All these little prices, all these little things, they add up, they really do. So our grand total for the actual wedding was $39,243, which makes me want to cry, honestly, but it's fine. We had a great day. We made sure that we had saved up everything for this. Like, we didn't go into debt for this wedding. We knew that that was very important. I think we got engaged in September of 2022. So since then, and then we had started planning like right away. Since then, we pretty much knew the prices of all the main things, and we were like, all right, let's both put away this amount of money into an account every single paycheck, and we'll be good. By the time the wedding comes around, we'll be good. We also knew that we were getting some help from my parents, and I'm very, very grateful. Like, I know not everybody's in the position where they get money or help for anything for the wedding from their parents, or they don't want to take help from their parents for the wedding. We were very grateful. My parents offered to pay for the catering, and my dad did pay for my dress as well. That brings like what we actually paid probably closer to like $25,000. I think is a decent budget. Like, we could have made that work if we didn't want to take my parents' money, but it would have just, you know, things would have looked a little different. Again, we're very grateful that they did offer to help. Okay, lastly, I'm gonna go into what we paid for our honeymoon and how that all broke down. Our honeymoon, we did a all-inclusive sandals resort. We went to Sandals, Grenada. We knew that we wanted to be somewhere relatively close and like a short-ish flight. It was still a 5-hour flight, but I wanted to be somewhere warm and all-inclusive and by the beach. We wanted to just relax, which I definitely needed after like planning a wedding and the couple weeks leading up to the wedding. Like, you you're just ready for it to be over. And I was like, kept saying like, I'm just ready for the honeymoon because I just want to relax. Again, 6 nights, all inclusive, Granada. Our total for the vacation was $5,432, which is kind of expensive. I don't know. I feel like probably not worth it. I don't know if I would do another sandals location. I did get like a specific room that was a little bit more private than like some of the basic rooms, because I was like, it is our honeymoon, like I want to splurge a little bit and get like, we had like a semi-private pool, the bathtub outside. So I splurged a little to get like a little bit of a nicer room. So that's why that price is a little bit high. It was kind of a lot, but like all the food's included, all the drinks are included. Like $900 a day for room, food, drinks, all the amenities. I don't know. This was like a splurge, like honeymoon trip, obviously. And then our flights. So I did use some points for the flights, but the total that I paid was $802. They were a little more expensive, but I had points. So anyway, not too bad, like $400 a person. And then we did one excursion and I got a massage, so that was $368. So total honeymoon cost was $6,602. Pretty expensive for a week, I will say. We had a great time. We missed the hurricane by like 1 day, so that was also good timing. So with that being said, our grand total for wedding and honeymoon was $45,845. That number hurts to say, but we had a great time. We had a wonderful wedding. We had a wonderful honeymoon. And one of my husband's like biggest things was that he felt like he didn't want to regret not having a wedding, which I totally understand. You know, I was fine. I kept saying like, let's just like do a small wedding, let's just elope, like let's do all this stuff. And he's like, won't we regret not having a wedding? I don't know if I would regret not having a wedding, but I mean, I am glad that we did. It definitely was fun. It was nice to have everyone that cares about you around having a good time. Just a nice way to express like our love for each other too. You know, we got to have a nice ceremony, did our vows. It was a great day and a great experience. Obviously, hopefully, that is our only wedding. When you think about it that way, it's like, yeah, I want to have a nice wedding, enjoy the day, spend the time with the people that we love, surrounded by the people that we care about, celebrate our love for each other. Again, doesn't always, you know, for everyone it's gonna look differently. It's gonna be whatever you want it to be, and that's all that matters. We could have spent less, we could have spent more. Doesn't matter as long as you love that other person and you want to spend the rest of your life with them, and that's all that matters, really. Enough of my blabbering. That was the total wedding honeymoon cost for our wedding in 2024. The real point of this video is just to be very transparent about what a wedding costs in 2024, kind of breaking down, like we spent pretty close to what the national average is and kind of where that breaks down. I feel like a lot of times you hear about how much money people spend on a wedding, but you don't really realize like how it's all broken down. Because when I look at these prices kind of all separated, besides like maybe the flowers, it doesn't look that bad. But then when you add it all up, you're like, oh my God, that was so much money. And again, I just wanted to go through and show everyone too, like all the little things that go into it, like even including stamps, envelopes, all of that stuff that really goes into the total cost of a wedding. So I don't know, I just hope that this was helpful to someone, or it's more just to get out there that like wedding costs are insane right now. And if you think that when you're finding all these quotes and stuff that it's outrageous, it is kind of the reality of the wedding industry right now. Just remember that the day is about you. No matter what amount of money that you spend on your wedding day, it doesn't matter. It's about you and your partner and the marriage that you two will have together. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.